The links to join the channel here over at SubStars right now, over at Odyssey, the various other links. I got a mailbox if you want to mail me some Joe Glass comics. I guess if you mail it, I will talk about it. So the crash of the BLTGV comics, the précis is there's no audience for those comics. Not anymore. There was a wave about 2016 when kids were pretending to be BLT and virtue signaling. That was just a wave, and it's over. The real audience for BLT comics mostly doesn't exist, not in the sense that can you sustain an industry on it? Probably not. So it doesn't exist in that sense. Can you do it full time? Well, not for Joe Glass. It's like you should just accept that's the way it is. But the comic industry in general, physical and digital, has been down for years and is going to continue to decline as the white demographic disappears, who used to be the people who bought comics, and as people switch to manga and anime, because comics in general are painfully, ridiculously woke, heavy-handed, left-wing preaching, diverse, gay, feminist, and the audience decreases every year. Now, the confusing thing for the Joe Glass types is to understand that on Twitter, where he's got like 250,000 tweets and no followers, and he gets totally ignored on everything he posts, is follow me closely here, because I'm literally Hitler and going to tell you the harsh truth about these things. These SJW kids who say how gay they are and love BLT comics, movies, books, stories, whatever, they're lying. They're saying one thing and they're doing another. And you just have to follow Twitter to quickly see how this is. They do it with previews of comics that they're putting out on Kickstarter, or movies that come out that they float these trial balloons for. And there's a lot of social media support. And that's all meaningless, because Twitter doesn't cost anything to make a quick tweet about how cool something looks. And the phrase that they always say, it drives me nuts, is shut up and take my money. But they never actually pony up the money. They just like to say something. And then they move on and they forget about it instantly. You can unfortunately spend 3 hours on Twitter and later you won't remember a single thing. It's just a dopamine, serotonin black hole. And if you do that, you'll quickly realize, oh, it's probably time to nuke Twitter. It's not translating anything. And actually for him, that's a pretty good example. If you look at the amount of time he's put into it, it doesn't translate. He could spend time writing, like if I were him and I needed a few extra coins, I would be writing romance novels and self-publish on Amazon. And you go, he's gay. That's, you're saying it's not selling. Yeah, that's the trick. I would write straight romance novels. Just, write it with a gay setting in mind and then just swap it out to sell to women. If you need, that's the pragmatic approach. If you need some money and you're a writer, you can write. Women love romance. You literally just have to read like 3 romance books that are out and outline them, how they approach the characters, and you could put that stuff out there, and you could write one of those, like you could rip through one if you like every few months. That's how formulaic they are, and suddenly you'd have money coming in that would help fund your gay projects. It's like you not everyone gets to do every little thing they want all the time. So what happens is these kids, they like to publicly virtue signal that they like BLT stuff, but they don't actually crowdfund the comics. And there's one that he's trying to push right now that needs like $25K to get funded. And the SJWs are retweeting the heckaroonies out of it, and they're commenting to boost engagement, presumably so other people can fund the Kickstarter. But they don't want to actually spend the $30 because it looks stupid, as do most SJW comics. And they say they're queer, trans, furry, two-spirit, otherkin online, but they actually aren't, because none of that stuff is real. It was a fad from about 2015, and it is on the fast decline. Or maybe 2015 is, I think, probably when it when it peaked, and I kind of noticed it maybe 2013. Guys, I'm a lesbian, woman of color, marginalized, oppressed, disenfranchised, othered, and fighting the cis heteropatriarchal capitalist machine. I can say all that and post all the flags I want in my bio so that I feel that I'm part of a group. And I'm a victim with status. I'm basically Martin Luther and Rosa Parks storming the beaches of Hiroshima or something. I'm a big deal in my mind, instead of just a fat SJW smoking the devil's lettuce and eating chips. I dye my hair blue and get a nose ring and signal that I'm with my fellow useful idiots raging against the machine, supported by Soros, Bank of America, Schwab, Chase Bank. Doesn't make logical sense. It makes emotional sense. How did that Occupy Wall Street go? Oh, yeah, we stopped that. Why'd you stop that? Well, I mean, was it Plato y Plio? Silver or lead. So what happened was in 2015, the left was, to stop a hippie movement, what do you do? I'd probably drive up in a I don't know, $120,000 car with a briefcase full of money and go to the people in charge and go, you see all this? We want you to go from class to race. And the guy looks at that and goes, done. Anyway, so what happened was in 2015, the left was pushing, it buys a lot of weed, and that's mostly what they're concerned about. A lot of this feminism and the BLT stuff, but the trans hadn't really, it was gay at that time, but the trans hadn't really blown up yet. So kind of the straight gays, I don't know what you call you know what I mean, the gays had status, then like just the normal plain Jane boring gays, which is the problem, is that gay became boring. But then the kids realized that they wanted attention also, but they didn't necessarily want to, you can't unsuck a dick is what I'm saying. They didn't actually want to do this stuff that would require being, gay, and figured out a way to kind of one up on the gays. And so they started the pan movement. So normal straight kids could also get attention, where they could say one thing, but not actually be the thing. And then that morphed into trans and just generally kind of queer. And suddenly you gave kids a perfect opportunity to get even more, that's an advertisement, to get even more attention. And they got the ball rolling. And it got to a point where a huge percentage of kids were saying that there were these things simply because somebody like Miley Cyrus said she was. But it didn't actually mean anything because none of it was real. And because it wasn't real, the market to support it, it didn't blow up. And what little energy it had was just for a brief period of time. It was a wave. And for a couple of years, Joe Glass and Mags Visaggio comics got attention, but fads burn out quickly. It's one thing for me to post in my bio, I'm trans, non-binary, or whatever, because it doesn't cost me anything. But I'm not going to buy a comic that has gay relationships in it because I'm not actually those things. It's meaningless virtue signal. Assume everything on the internet is a lie. The kids just want to say they're queer or BLT or something. They don't actually want to buy some stupid sodomy comic books about gay bears or something. And to be fair, there were a few people who pointed out that it was a fad. The BLT OGs, and they got attacked by the pseudo BLT SJW kids on social media. I think ContraPoints is some guy or something. He's some kind of like political pundit or something. He cross dresses, and I'm not sure if it's a bit or not. But I remember he said something about the movement, like trenders. I think it was called trans trenders. That was a thing, and that made them insane with rage. Because they were transgenders. It's like if you are something and they say you're not, it doesn't, it's like, oh, hey, what happened? That was like 10 years ago. So what happened to take a look at some of these people? There's an account on Twitter that looks at the public face of some of these people who, like the kid who came out on National Geographic. He followed him for like 10 years and things have changed in his story. Suddenly he realizes he's just a little boy again. Unfortunately, he's been altered permanently. There was some gay guy who started some kind of famous gay march, at least for like the gays have their own kind of history. And he worked for gay rights his whole life. And he was saying that the trans stuff there was a lot of kids who were just kind of cosplaying, and the kids kicked him out of the gay movement that he started because they were cosplaying for attention. So now the wave of all this kind of BLT virtue signaling has crested, and you have, unfortunately, tens of thousands of people who paid a medical industry billions of dollars to remove body parts to chase a fad, and what the future holds for them is pretty dark, but that's another issue they refuse to address. Anyway, as to these genre of comics, the ones I remember are The Pride, which I read, and Kim and Kim, which I actually read all of those. One, they're just not good. And two, they're musical theater gay, and there just aren't enough gay people who are on that hairdresser level of gay who also want to buy comics because they spend their money on cocaine and grooming their cats. So Joe Glass's time in the sun is over, and that's up to him. And he's crying that he failed at comics. Not exactly. He failed at these cartoonishly gay comics, but he hasn't really failed at comics because I don't think he tried to write any comics for the 99% of the buying audience, i.e. the straight, non-woke comics. He's like saying he failed at comics, but that's like if you introduced a steam-powered car into the market and it's like it never took off because it doesn't make sense. It's inefficient to have a steam power car, even though they're like tremendously torquey. And you go, I failed at cars. It's like, no, you failed at this little product, that niche product, niche or niche, I don't know, that didn't sell. It's like clearly the customers are moving in the direction of hybrids and electric, and the internal gas engine is not going anywhere because it's amazing. You got to try writing comics that will sell to the 99.9% of the audience. So he failed at gay comics because the audience doesn't exist. And if he likes writing, like I said, he'd just be better off writing fiction and self-publishing romance on Amazon. He could try, if I were him, I'd use a pseudonym to write straight romance for women, and then use your real name to write gay romance for men. But like also, I wouldn't. What he tried to do with his comic, I think, is he tried to do like all the letters of the alphabet in that acronym included in his comic. And it's weird how much we know about the gay community now that we didn't know 10 years ago, and it's kind of, is it gay to know that much about the gay community? There's a split between the regular gays and the queer and the trans and all that kind of stuff where the kids are just virtue signaling. So if I was him writing books and I needed to have them, the rent paid on time, I would just write, well, I almost said straight gay. I don't know how to describe it. Like normal gay books for just normal gay people, gay men, just specifically gay men. Don't try to include like gay women in there. Don't try to include the queer, non-binary. Just write normal gay romance under your name. And then, like I said, alternate books with female romance. And you're going to find out that the ones you write for women are going to outsell the gay ones, 10 to 1. And it's like you're going to make a lot of money that way. The money's just going to start coming in. And that's good. That way, if you want to keep putting out a comic every 2 years, you can. It's like if it makes money, it doesn't make money, it doesn't matter. You can afford the $30,000 to self-publish and get that thing out there. It just takes a lot of pressure off you. The thing is, if he wants to write comics, he could try his hand at normal action adventure comics because almost the entire audience is straight. Sorry to... Most people are straight. That's just the reality. And even the kids who say they're a triangle, frying pan, whatever, are actually straight. Because as I said, people lie on the internet. Joe Glass should know this better than most. Look at the past 10 years of the failures of woke movies. I mention them every time. There's like 50 of these woke movies, whether feminist or overly diverse or like men in like they do everything. It's interracial mixed gay marriage, and they adopted a kid or something. It's like, yeah, you kind of really checked all the boxes there. Oh, hey, short-haired woman. Yep, Birkenstocks, you got it. The kids say they love diversity and inclusion, but it turns out that they are lying. Most people hate diversity, feminism, and equity because the money doesn't go to those woke movies. Madam Web and the Marvels are the last two vagina movies that just queefed all over the screens and nobody watched them. Those movies were made for SJWs. They're diverse and they're girls. Yeah, they bombed horribly. Oh, okay, well, maybe that, what does that tell you? Listen, listen, no, this is where you want to attack the person giving you the message. But the reality is what the box office returns. If you follow this rule of thumb when creating anything, people hate diversity, feminism, inclusion. They love beautiful blonde people who look like they should be in a beer commercial circa 1988. The whiter, the better, like the leads in Barbie. Platinum blonde ubermensch at an Aryan Central casting for a war poster. See, that's the truth. And it's politically incorrect to the woke because they've been brainwashed to accept the globalist media propaganda where the message says one thing, but it's a lie. And objectively, the numbers back this up. And you can call the audience Hugo Bosses, and if you're, SJW and you're listening to this, but that ad hominem doesn't actually change the underlying reality. All the virtue signaling doesn't pay the bills. Give the audience what they say they want is the fastest way to go bankrupt. Give the audience what they actually pay for is how you make money. Big difference. BlackRock and Disney have the deepest of deep pockets. They can make woke bombing, girl power, diverse movies every 6 months and lose $50 million each one. It doesn't. They'll do that for years before before something has to change for them. Joe Glass has to actually sell products so he can buy weed, and BLT comics don't sell. The other thing is, if you scroll through his Twitter, it has a bunch of adult stuff on it, but the Twitter is under his name. It's his professional face to the world, and nobody wants to see him coom over naked pictures of dudes. It's gross, so that alienates people. And like, you got straight people in comics. I wouldn't put pictures of naked women on my Twitter, my professional Twitter. It's like, it's my personal Twitter. No, it's your professional Twitter. It's your name, it's your face. You're out there. Because you're gay, you can't put naked pictures, prawn pictures of men, just like we wouldn't put naked, beautiful pictures of women in lingerie. It's like you don't get a pass because you're gay. It's not a professional setting to have naked people on your social media. So that's a mark against you. It's like, that's just a little bit of discipline. Like, how hard is it just to not comment on prawn pictures? Then he calls everyone on the right literally Hugo Boss, and that alienates more people. As Michael Jordan said, the right wing Republicans also buy shoes. You're marketing yourself, and you have excluded the audience with your woke purity tests to please the woke crowd that don't buy comics. There's the real world of marketing, and then there's the rainbow world of Joe Glass. And also, he mentions awards that he's won for writing comics as well. I think Mags of Sizes probably also won awards. Those are meaningless because they don't sell. Your stuff doesn't sell. That's the evidence that the awards are meaningless. You understand that, right? The awards don't actually... Does the award come with a $250,000, I don't know what they call it, prize money or something? So you can, like, take a year and write comics? No, it comes with nothing. Okay, it's meaningless. It's just another group of SJWs who are following some Schwab checklist of diversity. And there's an article on JT Smash. Should I go to it? Hold on one sec. Okay, so Smash JT's article about the gaming awards grift exposed, how game journalists are cashing in on misleading promotions. So the short version of this, because we're already far along, is like I said, the awards are meaningless. And what happens is they are charging to be tied in to their awards ceremony for commercial purposes, crazy amounts of money to have their name as a promoter of the gay awards. But it's not grassroots. It's not organic. They're charging, the minimum is $5,000 and the top is $150,000 to have your name attached to giving awards. And the thing is, their Twitter account, it's just a made up ceremony, but it's brilliant for them because they found a way to cash in on stuff. Like, honestly, it's just, if there's a grift to be made, it's like, you can't really hate the people who are like the Sweet Baby Incorporated and the Black Girl Gamers type of stuff. It's like, they're just useful idiots, but they're making, the Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian had their time in the sun as well, like kind of 5 years ago, and there's a new crop of grifters to turn up. So The thing is, their Twitter account has got like 17,000 followers and gets no interaction whatsoever, and the same with all their other social media accounts. But they're giving you this. They'll write these articles. It's like, what do they call those articles? I know they started doing this, I don't know how many years ago, where I guess they're infomercials, but they're in the written form, where it would be like if someone paid a bleeding cool article, but instead of just writing, it's like paid content. It's a commercial, but it's tied under the banner of journalism, and so they're charging for these things at the tune of, like, I think $500 to $1,500 to $750 to $1,000 to $5,000 for sponsored content for articles that are just fluff articles about how great something is. It's like, and this guy's pointing out, like, that doesn't seem that violates the basic principles of journalistic integrity. Yeah, all that. I mean, journalism kind of died 40 or 50 years ago. Like, it really was that long. And with the rise of the internet in the 90s, that was just the last nail in the coffin, because suddenly newspapers and digital magazines had to realize, oh, we got to compete with the internet. So we have to have a footprint on there. It's like all this stuff is adding up and people are buying less and less paper. So we have to start clickbaiting and putting ads on all the media stuff and get paid subscriptions. We've got to get money coming in. And then people have discovered, like, oh, the media's been lying to us this whole time, because now you have alternative media who are, like, the media will set up a photo shoot, right? And they'll go up there with $50,000 cameras and $800 microphone, boom mics and all this, and they'll build a scene. They'll recreate a scene. And I'm using hand quotes as I say this. And then somebody with an $80 cell phone will film it, and he'll film what's actually going on. He goes, oh, here's CNN recreating a scene that didn't happen. It's like, wait, this isn't organic? No. Oh, but does CNN tell you that this is recreated? No, they just lead you to believe this is how we found the thing. It's like, oh, it's a lie. You're materially misrepresenting. You're lying. This is not reality. This is a misrepresentation of reality. It's yellow journalism, and it's like all it took is somebody with a cell phone to film Hillary Clinton passing out from the heat, having heat exhaustion or whatever she had. And it's like, oh, so, but the mainstream media was there. Presumably they filmed this with their insanely high quality cameras. Like, why did somebody with a $1,200 Samsung, why is like one guy with a Samsung, why did he put this online? How come this is the one video we have? How come the mainstream media wasn't following Hillary? Like, well, maybe they were, but they're not going to show the video. And then after the guy's homemade video came out, it's like the media can't show, oh yeah, we had this the whole time. But then why didn't you show it? Or the Covington Catholic kids, where the media showed the alcoholic guy in the face of this little kid, and the kid was just standing there. He didn't say a word, which is very clever. Never talk on camera. And what happened a couple days later is, like, oh, all the other cell phone footage comes out, and they show that this alcoholic who lied about his Vietnam service was approaching this crowd of kids while banging a drum. The kids were stationary, and the guy approached them. It's like, oh, that's assault. That's technically assault, where you have the imminent fear of a battery. The Indian was in his face drumming, moving an object. It's like the kid got death threats because the media knowingly lied when they got that story. I don't know where I was going with that, but all this is fake. Dare I say fake? And it's fake in BLT. It's 17,000 followers. That's not organic. Nothing makes sense. They have an awards ceremony, but the awards are meaningless. And in like the Joe Glass type's mind, they think, oh, well, I got these awards. Surely the book will sell. That should get some good publicity. No, because the audience doesn't exist. This is all fake. Most people are just straight. I'm sorry we're just boring. We're just normal, straight people who like to barbecue hot dogs and beer. Maybe smoke a little J every now and then. But like all this pronoun stuff is all fake. It's just a fad. You're not going to pay bills on this. The fad, if anything, like I said, it peaked probably about 2014, and it was already on the decline. But it's still like it was a big peak. And so even by 2017, you still thought you were riding this wave. It's like, yeah, but it's already declining. It's time to transition. It's like you have to get out ahead of fads. And after the fad has been like once you see the start of a slight decline, it's like, okay, now it's time to get out of it and transition into something else. But he didn't want to do that. I mean, you can find the pride online, and all these other kind of insane comics, Deadbeats. Somebody sent me Deadbeats. It's unbelievably bad. Anyway, I hesitate to do this thing with Joe Glass because, like, I don't want to be the person who did the last video on him before something, tragic happened, kind of thing. So, like, I hope he's okay, and I hope he has a successful transition into comics that sell. Which is, if you can write, he's a known name. The market is out there, but you gotta, like I said, clean up your Twitter account. No more prawn. Delete all that stuff. Stop attacking people who are to the right of Stalin, and you're gonna have to write straight comics to pay the rent. It's like we all, a lot of us, everyone's doing things they don't want to do. It's like we don't all get to be, I don't know, Michelangelo or whatever. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on next episode.